Monica Lewinsky is back in the news. She has asked Beyoncé to remove lyrics to a 9-year-old song referencing Lewinsky's infamous White House affair. The line in question, a part of the 2013 song Partition, is, quote, "He Monica Lewinsky'd all on my gown." This isn't the first time Lewinsky has criticized the pop superstar for the raunchy name drop. Back in a 2014 Vanity Fair article, Lewinsky quipped, quote, "Thanks, Beyoncé, but if we're verbing, I think you meant Bill Clinton's all on my gown, not Monica Lewinsky."
Lewinsky's request comes only days after Beyoncé wiped the word spaz from a song off her new album, Renaissance, after activists accused the star of ableism. One critic wrote on Twitter, quote, "So Beyoncé used the word spaz in her new song Heated. Feels like a slap in the face to me, the disabled community and the progress we tried to make with Lizzo. Guess I'll just keep telling the whole industry to do better until ableist slurs disappear from music." A rep from the star told reporters earlier this week, quote, "The word not used intentionally in a harmful way will be replaced."
Okay, so there's a couple of things going on here. We talked about this Lizzo thing on the show. I thought, there was some dispute as to whether or not that was really a pejorative. I, as an older millennial, was explaining to Robbie, I very much remember that word being used a lot as a pejorative in my youth. Lizzo didn't have a problem taking it out. It got taken out. Seemed like a no-brainer. Everybody's happy. Beyonce similarly is taking it out of this. No-brainer. Everybody's happy. The Monica Lewinsky piece, I think, is interesting. People are saying it's a 9-year-old song. Why are you bringing this up again? You're just trying to get clout or whatever. But I gotta say, I think Monica Lewinsky has a point here.
Well, she certainly has a point grammatically, syntactically. It should have been Bill Clinton, not Monica Lewinsky.
But it's more than just syntax, right? It's the fact that in our popular culture, and I think because of how we see women in these exchanges as being more stigmatized than the men in these exchanges, it did feel like a punchier lyric to say Monica Lewinsky instead of Bill Clinton, because she has been the site of focus of that exchange, even though she was, like a 22-year-old,
21-year-old
young woman, barely a young woman, and he was the president of the United States of America. So, I'm not opining on whether or not Beyonce should have to go and rehash old lyrics, but I do think from a cultural evolution perspective, Monica Lewinsky is right to draw attention to this weird asymmetry that happened here.
Yeah, I think that Monica Lewinsky's experience has really been kind of downplayed or misrepresented. And you have a lot of old school pre-Me Too ideas that are still around when it comes to Lewinsky, because she's from that earlier era that people haven't really updated their views of it the way that they should. And I think that, she refers to what happened with Bill Clinton as a gross abuse of power. She says she doesn't know where it fits into the Me Too story, but it is a gross abuse of power. And I think that's true. And, I think that the vilification of her and, Bill Clinton, he hasn't apologized to her, which he does owe her an apology. He said, I did not have sexual relations with that woman. I think that, Monica Lewinsky, there's a whole piece about all the songs. She has her work cut out for her, though, if she wants people to update their music. Literally dozens of songs would have to be updated, from people ranging to Cameron to DJ Butler to Eminem, Ice Cube, Kid Cudi. I mean, the list goes on. So she really became a staple.
That raises this other interesting question. It's come up recently in the context of Stranger Things. I don't know if you caught this, but the producers of Stranger Things went back to correct an inconsistency that came up in this last season, because they said the date that things were happening, and it happened to be a date that was established in an earlier season as one of the main characters' birthdays. Viewers pointed this out. Why is nobody acknowledging the character's birthday? So they went back and just changed the date. And people were saying, now that everything is streaming and online, people have the ability to go back and change things you watched. And there's no real, register of how things were originally. There's no way to check some original proof. And that's very unsettling to people. So, do you think that artists, generally speaking, when time has passed, even if they acknowledge that they were in the wrong, should have the obligation to go back and change things in the past? And should they do it, or should there be something in the way of a public record?
Yeah, like a
is it
statute of limitation?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I kind of feel like, maybe the thing that people should do is they could have these people donate some money to a certain cause. Maybe that elevates or empowers the afflicted community, the community being offended. I mean, I don't know what would be in Monica Lewinsky's case, but I'm just thinking in general, you can find so much problematic language.
Yeah, this is also, it also gives me Confederate statue vibes.
What do you? Oh, I see what you mean. Right.
These lyrics are the Confederate statues. Of
I mean,
lyrics.
I think that there is a real value in acknowledging something as opposed to whitewashing it and pretending it never happened. I mean, I think that that's true. There's a whole debate on, there's this not to get super nerdy, but there's this monument in Spain that was built by political prisoners under Franco. There's a whole debate about what should be done with it because it's just a huge ode to fascism and Francoism, and it was built by some of the political prisoners there, and people think it should be maybe destroyed or turned into a museum of, as a never again type of thing. Who knew we'd get the Spanish Civil War history from Beyoncé and Monica Lewinsky?
Well,
but I have to, whenever
Katie.
Monica Lewinsky's brought up, I do have to say that, it is a real stain on liberalism and liberal feminism that no one takes the allegations of Juanita Broaddrick of rape against Bill Clinton seriously, and I just have to put that out there. And Juanita Broaddrick may have politics that I don't share, but that doesn't mean that she shouldn't be heard and listened to.
Yeah, well, allies in these, weird alliances that come out in these situations are all over the place and not predictable. And Beyoncé has found herself an unlikely ally in. That's right, Ben Shapiro. The conservative commentator defended the singer on the Ben Shapiro show, arguing that activists should focus their anger on much more offensive and harmful lyrics, such as those in the controversial smash hit WAP.
These are the standards in our society. Using the word spaz in a song, totally bad, horrible, remove it, offensive. Having full-scale songs for children about the moisture state of your vagina, that is Shakespearean wonder. It is. I mean, that's just the stuff that you should play for your kids. It's very empowering stuff. So I feel the left is very strict on its language and very loose on its morals and ideas. The right tends to be a little looser on language and a little bit more strict on its morals and ideals.
I mean, that just is begging to be looked at as proof that Ben Shapiro does not know how to satisfy his wife. I'm sorry.
Look, he's obsessed with this WAP thing. First of all, I should say WAP is not for children. I don't know who told him WAP is for children. There's a famous TikTok clip where Cardi's in her house singing to WAP, and her daughter runs in and she quickly turns off the music and ushers the daughter away. No one is pretending this is preschool playground fare.
Exactly.
But I don't think that Beyonce is necessarily looking for this kind of support. The issue is that, look, language changes.
I'm sure she'd love that, yeah.
But I understand, and I said this when we talked about the spaz issue the last time. I understand that language can change quickly and catch you unawares. And you can realize that you were saying something rather innocently that is genuinely offensive to communities that you do not intend to offend. And that can be disorienting, especially when the valence of the conversation is, you should have known better.
Right.
Okay? And so I respect people's hesitation to want to immediately course correct to whatever the latest activist bugaboo is. But I think the reality is, we all have to just grow up so we don't become the old man on the lawn fishing. It's not your fault that you didn't know. Yeah. You're not a bad person for having said the thing. And if you want to keep offending members of the community, you can. Sure. It's a free country. And if you think it's not a real community and that people are just blowing up things for the sake of internet clicks, keep doing what you're doing. Keep saying spaz. But if you want to respect people, if you want to be generally polite, go ahead and change it, remove the lyric. And I really don't see who's harmed by any of that.
Right. And I would also say that, as in terms of strategically speaking, I do think it helps to give the person the benefit of the doubt when you're, to call in instead of calling out, if you actually care about people being receptive to changing things.
Yeah, well, Katie, I hear you are going to be doing your best Ryan Grimm impression tomorrow with Emily Jashinsky.
Yes, I will be. I'll be trying to fill his formidable shoes. But very excited about seeing you guys again tomorrow. Be sure to like, share, and subscribe so you never miss any content. And for those of you who like to listen while on the go, we are now available anywhere you listen to podcasts.
Thank you all, and we'll see you. Well, Katie will see you tomorrow.
Bye.